We all know who Satan is. Lord of the underworld, ruler of hell, and ruler of all things evil. From murder, lies, sorcery, logic, and reason, Satan is responsible for every non-believer and every source of unbelief. He exists to deceive you and lead you away from the one book, the one true book. Today's passage occurs during the third resurrection of Satan, before the time of the leper Messiah, centering around the legendary King Nothing. This cautionary tale warns about the temptations of Satan and the terror that can result if you stray away from the one book. Let us begin. Hear ye! Hear ye! Now, folks at home, open your books to chapter 3, section 5. The great King Nothing ruled over the kingdom of Plankton. King Nothing's rule was just, as he and his serfdom read and followed the one book and worshipped the Almighty God as mandated by the one book. The serfdom made the rice, and King Nothing ruled over them. Satan saw God's peaceful kingdom of rice and beans and became furious and envious. To disrupt King Nothing's rule, Satan took the form of a crab. Now, folks, we all know that crabs are the most evil and deceptive of creatures. Look at him. Just look at him. Mr. Krabs crawled out from the sea on a moonless night, the most evil and dark of nights, with sharp legs and claws full of sin. That same night, Mr. Krabs scampered into King Nothing's bedchamber, sneaking up to his ear hole, and began whispering into King Nothing's sleeping ear. The prophecy Mr. Krabs spoke into King Nothing's ear was vile and poisonous, wasn't it, folks? Soon, a traveling merchant will arrive, Mr. Krabs whispered. And when this merchant arrives, he will be selling several books and scrolls from other nations. You must purchase these books and scrolls for your people. At this, King Nothing awoke. Sacre les bleus! King Nothing proclaimed. What sort of sorcery is this? I am Mr. Krabs, the satanic crustacean proclaimed. I come to deliver a prophecy of great importance. And Mr. Krabs repeated, when the traveling merchant arrives, buy all of the books and scrolls he is selling. This will bring about a great golden age to the kingdom of Plankton. King Nothing was confused and furious, knowing that Mr. Krabs' words were blasphemy. And rightly so. Isn't that right, folks? Always ignore the blasphemy. And with this, as the story goes, King Nothing kicked Mr. Krabs out of the window and to the curb. Chapter 4. King Nothing quickly forgot about the event. But several days later, sure enough, the traveling merchant arrived. As the merchant was moving through town, King Nothing approached him and could see many scrolls and books. Now, isn't that something, folks? We all know that the one book, the one true book, warns against other books and warns against non-belief. And King Nothing knew about this sin. He hesitated. He knew God would not stand for such things. How much are these scrolls and books? Well, this book here is 4 gil and teaches how to write. And this one here is 18 gil and teaches how to mix the elements. King Nothing was surprised, as he had never known how to write, and his old castle had only the knowledge contained in the one true book. Immediately, King Nothing began to feel the temptations of Satan, and he quickly succumbed. Now, don't fault King Nothing quite yet. How much for all the scrolls and books? King Nothing asked the traveling merchant. Oh yes, that would be 426 gil. This was half of King Nothing's wealth. But without hesitation, he made the trade. And King Nothing bought the books and scrolls. Chapter 5. For a time, things in the kingdom of Plankton were good. King Nothing made many copies of all the texts and scrolls and told the reluctant priests to begin helping the people understand their new sinful wisdom. And legend has it that some of the priests, truly devout followers of the Almighty God, refused King Nothing's request, proclaiming only the one true book must be taught. But those priests were expelled from the kingdom of Plankton by King Nothing. The people began to learn all sorts of unbelievable, Satanful, and sinful information, like how to write, reason, and see. The people began to ask evil questions, like, why should King Nothing be in charge? If we can now write, then who wrote the one book? Why must we listen to the priests now that we know how to read and write ourselves? These questions began to consume the people, as King Nothing did not have satisfactory answers to their questions. And sometimes, even worse, they just asked another question. The people stormed the castle and temples in revolt. Chapter 6. Then it all came crashing down, didn't it, folks? And King Nothing broke his crown. He pointed his finger, but no one was around. King Nothing fell to his knees and prayed to God. Please, God, save me from my peril. I am sorry for straying from the one true book. And in the voice only King Nothing could hear, God replied, where is your crown, King Nothing? Where is your crown? God then told King Nothing what to do to restore his kingdom. God said, go and find the exiled priests and proclaim their righteousness to your people. Then take soldiers and clear out the temples and your castle. Then take all of the satanic books and scrolls away from the people and store them in the castle where no one can find them. Now we all know what happens next, don't we? King Nothing then climbed the tallest tower and proclaimed to his people the words God had given to the kingdom of Plankton. And he did exactly what God had told him to do. On that same night, another moonless night, Mr. Krabs returned, claws full of Satan, and tried to reason with King Nothing. This time, King Nothing saw through Mr. Krabs' lies and cursed Mr. Krabs. Be gone, you satanic crusty crustacean! And Mr. Krabs scampered away from the glory of God and vanished into the night. A few people, true followers of Satan, struggled against King Nothing as he collected all of the scrolls and books. But with God on King Nothing's side, they all fell like salt figurines. And folks, this has a happy ending. All the scrolls and books were successfully collected and stored inside the castle. Peace was restored, and people were happy following the good book again, as now their lives were simple, irresponsible, and godly. So what is the moral of the story? Well, folks, I will tell you. Satan yearns for us to stray from the one book, to look at those other books and other teachers other than God's one book. Satan yearns for us to learn other things that conflict with the one true good book. Look at what happened to King Nothing when he strayed from the book, when he listened to the temptations placed there by Satan and Mr. Krabs. So, what should you do when you feel Satan's power making you want to learn from other books? Be warned, for there is a special place in Satan's kingdom for you, a burning, fiery pit in hell of endless torture for those who stray from the one book. Repent and proclaim your undying love for God and the one book. And should you have any other books, submit them to your local priests or political authority. God is merciful, and He may forgive you. Now, let me take a moment and ask God to make sure this is all correct. Okay. Yep, God has completely validated all of the words I just spoke, and they are so validated until the end of time.